Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Another Fiero episode for you. As promised from the previous video, this is going to be about how to burp the coolant system in a Fiero, especially a Fiero GT. It is not a hard process, but it is done wrong a lot. And it is a simple process. It's a fairly simple process, but it's not typical to normal cars. In fact, I've had Fieros in the past many years ago where take it to a professional shop and they do it wrong, and the first time you go drive it, the next thing you know, you're stranded on the side of the road because the car overheated because it got air in the system. All right, that being said, I'm going to pull the car outside and we'll get going. Okay, so first things first, I would recommend pulling the passenger side vent out just to make it easier, because you are going to need to get to the thermostat housing. 3 points that you're going to want to fill. Sorry, sun's starting to go down. All right, obviously you want to make sure you got coolant in your reservoir, your radiator, and your thermostat housing. So what I typically will do, and this has served me very well over the years, as you can see, I just poured coolant out everywhere. I will take that thermostat out of there, and actually I'm gonna go grab a paper towel and set it down on that. So what I'll do, I'll set the thermostat down on a paper towel, get it out the way. Then what I'll do, obviously you want to make sure you got coolant in your reservoir, which I do. And then I would automatically, I'm not going to do this because it'll just make a mess, but you pull the cap off your radiator. Okay, so imagine I pulled the cap off the radiator, and then I fill coolant from here until it starts coming up to the edge and maybe even dripping out of the radiator. At that point, I will close this, put the cap back on the radiator. So this isn't very hard, and I will continue to fill until it gets up to here. At which point, I will go ahead without the thermostat running or on, close the cap. Now I need to wipe my hands because I got coolant on my hands. And for some reason, my camera is lopsided. And I'll go back in here and I will start the car. Go ahead and put my e-brake on. In neutral, start the car. And I will turn the heater on full blast. Okay? Now it's not hot enough to get heat coming out of it. What this will do is kind of burp the coolant out of it. Hopefully get the air out of the pocket. You don't have the thermostat in there, so water simple. Anyway, I will be back here shortly once I get that done. Stand by. Okay, something I thought about. So basically, even though my temperature gauge isn't working, I've already checked this when I installed the new thermostat and the new fan switch. So I knew my fan works. That's one thing you need to make sure of, is that you always make sure your fan works on these cars. They will overheat in traffic quicker than crap if the fan doesn't work. Driving down the highway, they won't overheat. You don't even need the fan. But in stop and go traffic or sitting at idle, if the fan doesn't work, the car's going to overheat and it's going to be a bad day for you. But I know my fan's on. I've got the lower temperature fan switch from Rodney Dickman in here. So, you know, what I'm going to do, one good way to tell is when that kicks off, you know, as long as it's not overheating and it kicks off eventually, hey, you know that it's running and maintaining temperature, right? The heat's going good. I can feel the heat pretty good in here right now. I do need to idle her up because the underdraft pulleys, don't mind that. That's part of the problem with the coolant being right by the water pump is you gotta get that all off of there. But yeah. See, the fan's coming down because I've revved it up, got the water pump going, cooled it off some more. So it's pretty well maintained and idle. You can also check your reservoir and make sure it's not bubbling out. Yeah, so what I'll do is I will let it sit here and idle again until the fan kicks on again and comes back off again, and then I'll consider it done. That's pretty much all you got to do. I've already got the thermostat back in it, so yeah, it's really not that hard. Just remember, go over a review again. Take the thermostat out of the housing, leave the cap off, fill your reservoir to the line, take your radiator cap off, and then fill until you see coolant coming out of the radiator. Okay, once that's done, you cap that off and keep filling until it's right at the edge there. And then I like to run it with the heat on until I see the bubbles stop coming out, essentially. Once you see it stop bubbling out, it's just a smooth flow. It's a pretty good sign that the air bubbles are out of it. You can go ahead and put your thermostat back in, close it back off, and like I said, just let it run and make sure your fan's kicking on and it's maintaining temperature and you got heat. That's the big thing. Okay, so that being said, if you found this video helpful or entertaining, please like, share, and subscribe. If you did find it helpful, please leave a comment down below. Those comments are good motivation for me. I do this to share information. That's really all I'm doing it for. I had to teach myself how to work on these cars way back in the day when I was a kid. I didn't have YouTube back in the day, so you had to learn on the hard way. If I could teach you and give you an easier way to do this, and that makes me happy. So, like I said, please like, share, and subscribe, comment down below, and as always, until next time, I'll be back.